Welcome to Createful Art. Today I would love to show you how to paint this bright and beautiful sunset that has a lot of texture in it. This is a great opportunity to relax and learn to express yourself in your artwork. Before we begin, if you haven't already and you're enjoying my tutorials, please hit that subscribe button and the bell next to it. It helps support this channel so I can create more videos for you to enjoy. Now let's begin and take this moment to relax. So let's start with the colors we're going to be using in this painting. If you are a Createful Art member, this is a great time to get your handout out that will help you mix all the colors for this month. If you're not a member yet, now is a great time to sign up and you get bonus content to help you paint along with me. And you get weekly art lessons to help you become a better artist. Grab the primary colors that you have. They include a magenta, a cyan blue, and a yellow. I have listed the ones that I'm using in the description. You will also want to have a white and a black. The first color you don't have to mix, it's your pure magenta. You can always lighten it with white if you need to. The vivid orange color is created with your magenta and your yellow. Keep adding the yellow until you've reached your desired orange color. This dull light yellow is created with the primary yellow and your white, and a tiny bit of the orange. And while we paint, we can add more white to it when we want to. This beautiful aqua green color is made with yellow and brilliant blue, and then adding white to lighten it. Just adjust those three colors until it's the color you want. The sky blue color is very easy to make. It's just your white and your brilliant blue. We will add as much white as we want to it in our painting. The pretty lilac purple is made with our brilliant blue and magenta. That will make a darker purple, so we will lighten it up with white. Adjust those three colors until it's the purple you want, and don't worry about it being the exact same color as mine. The dark blue is just your dark blue with black mixed with it. Your dark green is made with the dark blue, your primary yellow, and black. We will be adding more black to it when we want it dark and yellow to it when we want this color lighter. Now our palette's all ready to go and we can start painting, and if you want to keep these colors fresh for this whole month, get the Stay Wet palette, and I have put a link in the description below. Now you will just need a surface to paint on, your brushes, and some paper towels and water, and you're ready to begin. So we're going to start with the sunset in our small filbert brush. And we'll begin with the yellow. I like to start with the lightest colors because it's difficult to get back the lightness when you go over the top of other colors. So right now I'm just creating the short little brush strokes in the shape of the cloud that I want over here in the top right of my painting. And I'm just worrying about this outside layer. Now I'm going to grab my bright yellow, my saturated bright yellow, and I'm going to go over some of that with some short brush strokes and then below it. So I'm grabbing some purple now. This will also be part of my cloud, but over here mostly on the left side of my cloud. Now the purple and yellow are complementary colors. That means they're going to make each other stand out, and that's why they're in this cloud. Now I'm starting to push this purple over on the left side, and that's going to form this other cloud. And I'm working on the composition here, deciding where I want this cloud to be and where I want the dark part of my cloud to be. So if you think about a cloud and the stormy part of the cloud, that's what I'm doing right here, is creating that stormy part. So now I'm adding blue where it's going to be the darkest part of these clouds. And that's going to be down near the bottom, about a third of the way down. Notice how I'm using the short brush stroke, kind of looks like dots, and that's going to create the texture that I want. So I'm going to lighten up this blue, and I'm going to add this light blue where I want some of the lighter part of that dark cloud to be, and also where I want the sky. So now I'm just playing here with the composition. So you can decide that you want yours to be different, it's fine. So this blue is going to go around that light yellow, and I'm going to add white to lighten that color a little bit. but I do recommend that you get my reference photo to help you know where to place some of these things, and feel free to deviate from it whenever you wish. I'm also going to mix all the colors on my palette and play around with them. So I'll add some white to this magenta. I added a little bit of dark purple, and I'm going to add in some of that in this area on this cloud over here on the left. Sunsets are really fun to paint because you can play a lot with your colors and where you put them, but there are some specific things that make a sunset look like a sunset, otherwise it'll just turn into a mess. So you want to have your yellows where the sun is going to be, and then it slowly turns into the oranges, and then the reds, pinks goes to purple, and then your dark blues show where the storm part of the sky is. And then you want your dark blue of the sky, like a sky blue, near the top, and it gets lighter as it gets closer to the sun. So I'm adding this green color that's closer to the sun because it's going to kind of have this green tint, and I wanted to use that green color. And then the only place where that green tint would make sense was near the light. So that sun that's going to be over there in that middle left, and then when it transitions into the light blue. So now I'm going to add this bright orange, and this is what makes this a really bright sunset. This is the key color, and that yellow, because it's the most saturated colors. So this orange is going to be around the dull colors, because the dull colors are going to make the saturated colors, the brightest colors, really stand out. So see how I'm putting some dull yellow in between that and not the saturated yellow. Too many saturated colors in your painting can overwhelm the viewer, so you do want to soften some of it. So I like to go into my other colors, and because they're wet, they will mix a little bit, and because a lot of them are complementary colors to each other, like that green and that orange, you're going to get some grays, some natural grays. So I'm adding in my dark blue, so I'm adding in the darkest contrast, and I will mix a little bit as I put it on there to soften it with that orange. And again, it will make it a little bit of a grayed down color. So some of it will be the pure color and some of it won't. So see where I put that purple down there? And then I have the purple on the right side as well, but up a little bit more. So where I add one color, I also want to add it again on the other side in some area. Otherwise, I will not have balance. So I'm going to add this dull yellow in between the saturated orange. Notice how that dark yellow against the light yellow makes it look like the top of the cloud has the sun hitting it. The purple and the yellow make a warm gray, and because I'm putting it right here, I'm going to add a little bit around the center area and then over into the left side. So I'm just making sure I have enough of the saturated yellow on my cloud, and I'm getting that saturated yellow close to the green and the saturated orange right there in just a small area, and fill in the area where the sun is going to be. And it's going to be in this center area just to the left. And I'm going to move some of that orange over, mixing just right underneath it. See how it looks like the cloud just blended over and reached over into the yellow area, and now I'm putting that yellow right underneath the dark cloud because the sky is going to be yellow underneath them. That saturated yellow is going to make this a very bright sunset. So now I'm adding in a little bit of the purple, the complementary color, right next to the brightness. So I want to have that right next to that yellow. If you want your sunsets to look bright, this is what you do. So I'm going to add some of that purple underneath the dark blue of the cloud, right underneath it. And then I'm just adding a few streaks. When I feel like I need some more brightness in my clouds, I'll go back to my orange and add more of that color. And notice how it mixes with that green and kind of makes a little bit of a brownish color. Orange and green make brown, and that's okay to have that color in my sky. So I want the blue clouds to kind of form a little bit more of a line underneath it. And I'm forming my clouds a little bit better. So even though I had that choppy brush stroke, I'm going to have a little bit of different brush strokes in it. So I'm pulling up on my brush and getting in some of these dark colors. So that's another cool thing about sunsets, is that that dark blue from the cloud, that heavy cloud, it's going to warm up. The color is going to warm up and turn into a magenta or a warmer purple as it goes over that saturated yellow, that spot where the sun is at. And I'm putting that magenta right underneath that blue over there. And then I'm going to add it on the left side next to the blue. So now I need to add that orange. Told you that orange was coming. Now it's going to create balance in my painting to have orange on this left side. And I'll take that soft color with the orange mixed with the white, and I'll add that up into my cloud, just in a few areas. And anytime you feel like you've added too much of a color or taken a color away, you can just add it back in, no worries. So now I'm going to work on the focal point, which is the sun area. And I'm going to fill in this entire area that I've left white. I'll put a little bit of this yellow into the clouds, the saturated yellow, just right between the orange and that purple, like I did on the right side, next to the green. And now I'm going to add some more yellow in this spot right above the sun. And then I'm going to finish this corner right here with some purple right up to that yellow. Pretty lavender color is going to go into the blue sky. And I'll mix a little bit to soften the transition from the blue to the purple and go around this yellow area, get this blue sky in. So I'm going to put blue over some of this area. I want to have some of the dark colors up in there. So I'm playing with this purple, a little bit of the light blue peeking out in these clouds in some areas. And I don't want you to think that your sunset needs to be done at this point. We'll bring it all together in the end and make it look more finished. So now it's time to paint the land, and I'm using my bright saturated orange and I'm filling in all of the white area. I can start creating my trees by just poking up right here into my sunset and having my trees orange behind the black that I'm going to place over it just makes them look like they're lit by the sun. And I just want to really quick bring that left side down with my purple with a few brush strokes. And I'm going to add a little bit of that color on the right here too, just to balance it out. I'm going to wipe off my brush, and then I'm going to dip into my blue here and add in some streaks right into that orange. The more color I have on my brush, the more it'll sit on top of that orange instead of mix in. I'm going to start at the bottom left corner. I just need to make sure that there's enough on my brush to cover it. And there's nothing fancy here. I'm just going to leave a gap where the orange is going to show through. So I'm going along the bottom here, and the orange is going to be part of the reflection on some water. So I'll have some of the black on the left, right, and bottom. Now I want to make a softer transition from the yellow into the orange, so I'm just going over that orange just a little bit. I'm going to bring it down to that blue line. Now I'm going to dip my brush into the purple and take some of these clouds and pull them down with some jagged lines or streaks pointing to the lake. I just broke up that orange color over there on the left, adding in some purple clouds here. I'm going to keep softening with the yellow this orange and pulling it down just a little bit more, because I want this sunset to be down here just a little bit further. I want to bring it all down, so I'm going to soften this on the right side as well, and on the left. So you could decide whatever you want to put in front of your sunset, but having this dark contrast, this black against the sunset, really makes it seem brighter. And it helps to just make some pokes or some lines and some blobs. And that makes it look like there's leaves or trees And everything I'm doing at this point is very random in nature. So since this is an easy part of the painting, all you are is putting in a silhouette because it's just going to be black. You can put in other colors like a little bit of this red in front of the yellow part to make it glow a little bit more, but really the gist of it is that it's black. So I'm going to work on my thing that I'm going to put in front of my sunset, which is this mountain area with the reflection of the sun on the lake. And I'm just going to let you relax and put in what you want to do. If you want to copy me exactly, that's fine too. You'll see every brush stroke that I'm making in the full tutorial for Createful Art members. So now it's time to adjust your painting to your personal preferences and add in the final details. So I'm going to come in here with my flat brush and I'm going to soften some of this sky and some of this texture, and I'm adding white just straight on top. And this is where the lightest part of the cloud is, and then I'm going to add yellow where I want some yellow areas right up against that white. And what I'm doing right now is I'm forming my cloud just a little bit more so it looks more like a cloud. And I'll just wipe off my brush. I'm not even going to put water on it. Now I'm going to add in the purple in some areas. And because that yellow is still wet, it's not going to sit on top. It's going to mix with the other colors and create a gray. Now I'm going to add in some magenta in parts of my clouds next to the blue part. And then just wipe and soften. So I love the texture that I have, but I'm going to soften that texture just a little bit. And I'm going to soften my transitions from one color to the next. So I'm adding this magenta in there. And I'm going to add some of this magenta throughout my cloud just to pull that part into the cloud so it looks like it belongs. And now I'm going to add in some blue. Notice how I've moved to my round brush and I'm pushing that blue color into the purple and adding some magenta and orange. So see how the right side of my sunset is way more shaped than the left side of my sunset. And I'm doing this by softening. So see how I just softened that and shaping it a little bit more. I've got to keep working on it. That yellow, I'm going to just add a little bit on top of that purple, and then it softens it. Makes that transition a lot softer. And then I'm going to take this blue and I'm going to make it less choppy. So I'm just adding another layer, and this time not with the short brush strokes. And I'm going to focus on brightening up right underneath this purple, getting another little layer and softening it into the purple clouds. So now I'm just going to keep working on this left side. You can follow the brush strokes that I'm creating or just look at the reference photo or do your own thing and put your own emotion into it. So now I'm just going to add a layer of the white around this purple cloud to really make it stand out and seem like the sun is right behind that cloud. That's where the glow is coming from. And I have almost finished this painting. So I just want to thank you for joining me today. I know this was a longer video. I don't know if you like the longer videos, but I got in the flow here and just went crazy with this painting. And you don't have to get as realistic as I got. I mean, it's still a very impressionistic painting, but I pulled it more towards the realism. And that always takes a little bit longer. And sometimes I just really get into a painting and I don't want to stop. And that's what happened with this painting. And I really, really love it. And I hope that you love yours too. If you love this video, please help me make more of them for you by hitting that subscribe button and the bell next to it and sharing this with your art-loving friends and family. If you're ready to become a better artist and be able to paint whatever it is you want, go ahead and sign up for my weekly art lessons. And you can watch more videos if you'd like. It's always fun to share more with you. Happy painting, my friends.